Alt 92.3.
Hey, it's Kevan Kenney hanging out with the gentleman of Young the Giant.
Hello.
When you get introduced like that at press stops, do you have a moment where you go, God, I wish we were still the Jakes?
Never.
Never.
But, Young the Giant does get old after a little bit. But
Right.
we still love it. So.
If you don't know and you're watching this right now, you were formerly known as the Jakes and then you changed your name to Young the Giant because of is it a dream you had?
That must have been just a fake interview answer. There was no dream.
No dream.
Unless this is a dream.
Well, then
which
how
case
did
it
you
would be a
make that
dream.
decision, though?
To change the band name?
Yeah.
Well, it's something that we wanted to do for a while. I mean, the Jakes was a completely different band, more or less. And I think at the time, we were, when we started the band as Young the Giant, we were like 18 years old. We didn't know anyone in the industry. We just kind of like, we're going to live together and like try and do this. And it was, we were very young, but there was like this stupid boldness of being young. And I think there was something powerful about that. So I think the idea of Young the Giant sort of came from there.
Right.
And, we had started as a the band and we're like, why don't we have a the in the middle? Like, no one's doing that. And then,
Little did you know.
Little did we know, it became a whole thing,
Yeah, Samir essentially, we had like the young blank, the young that, whatever. And Samir's like, what if we put the in the middle? We thought it was groundbreaking. And then our first tour was with Minus the Bear. And we went on to play shows with, Foster the People and Cage Elephant and
Portugal the Man.
all these bands that are kind of in their, our colleagues and stuff. They also had the idea to put the in the middle.
That's hilarious. I want to talk about the new music, of course, but let's get business out of the way. Happy belated birthday! You celebrated
you.
a big birthday this week.
Yeah, 29, kind of a throwaway year, but,
Why throwaway year?
I would, I do this weird thing where I already think I'm the next age, like 6 months before. I kind of get confused how old I am. I've been saying 29 already for a while, so. And then also 29, it's a prime number, which I think, that's cool.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of now gunning towards a 30 and the last year in the 20s, so I got to do it right, I guess.
Well, I got to ask you, there was a great picture you guys posted on social media of you kind of dancing or jumping. Who picked that picture to be the birthday post? Because that's always like a huge decision. Like, what is going to be the birthday post?
I actually picked that picture.
You picked it, okay.
Yeah, I didn't confer with Samir. I just figured he'd like it. I was like, doesn't really
I
have
thought
a
it was
choice
cool.
here.
And you were happy with it?
Yeah, it was a good one.
I thought it exemplified his personality and his stage vibe up
My
there.
stage
so,
personality.
yeah.
My stage personality is like a completely different person than who I am in real life. So,
Well, if you could like create a slogan or a tagline for your stage personality, what would it be?
I don't know, maybe just the evil twin. I don't know.
Okay. The evil twin.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media, you guys are so cool because you run your own social media and you're really friendly and open to fans DMing you and tweeting you, I should say. So if you are a fan right now watching and you want to get in contact with you guys, what are like the keys to getting a response from Young the Giant? What is the best strategy to employ?
Great question.
There's some people who are just like, they will tweet the same thing like 5 times a day.
Persistent.
For like a month.
Don't encourage them.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. But we normally tend to respond to those people after a while because we're just like,
You're
okay.
encouraging them.
Yeah.
So persistence is the key.
That or if I'm, really drunk at like 2 a.m, then I'll
Yeah.
just start responding to random things.
Those scary hours, middle
Yes,
night. Yeah.
yes.
I like that. Now, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's dive into the personal lives of Young the Giant. This new song, if you listen to it, Simplify, it's a great song. But if you listen to it, it sounds like it's very complicated times in your life. It sounds like these songs, the lyrics were written out of you guys going through something. So what have the past couple of years been like for you?
I think more than anything, it's almost like where we can all find common ground, where we are as a country, and where we are, each of us in our lives, with the presence of social media, the ability to be able to pretty much have 1,000 different reflections of yourself in the world at all times, and also so many very, very difficult questions that seemingly would have very difficult answers, and it's just very complicating times for everyone to kind of like find their place and where they are in the world. But love is one of those unifying things that I think everyone can kind of relate to. At the end of the day, everyone wants to feel love, and we all love in the same way. And I think it's the closest thing to truth that we have. And when you do look at someone who you really love, and if you look at all of humanity in that way, things tend to get a little bit easier. They tend to simplify a little bit, and you can kind of begin to see some optimism. I think as a country as a whole, we are pretty cynical right now, and so to be able to find that on a daily basis is something that's very important to us, and I think to a lot of people.
The song itself is very optimistic and I think comes along at a critical time, like you just alluded to. There's a beautiful sentiment in the chorus of the song where the world is so complicated, but everything becomes so simple when you look into this special someone's eyes. So who wrote that lyric and who inspired that lyric?
That day, me and Samir were kind of just having a conversation, and we kind of like got everyone together and started having a conversation. Essentially, it rooted from the question of, how are you doing? What's going on in your life? Because even we're brothers. We work together. We live all within like a 2 mile radius from one another, and yet a lot of times we forget to see how we're check in and see how we're doing in our relationship with each other as well. And it was really just we were kind of stuck trying to write lyrics, figure out what we wanted to write the song about, and that question kind of the conversation kind of bloomed into this conversation about excess from social media to technology to material to just all this excess that we came to the conclusion in the conversation was unnecessary for our happiness. And the song kind of bloomed out of that conversation and out of that simple question of how are you doing, and the realization that the relationship that we have with our loved ones, whether it be with ourselves or our bandmates or our lovers or our friends or family, are really at the end of the day the only thing that does matter.
Yeah. The song talks about overthinking every breath, and you talk about excess, right? And I'm curious just to pose the question, you guys get your opinion of, I definitely relate to that, and I feel like we are sort of an overthinking generation. Do you think people have always been like that as human beings? Like we're always overthinking things, or do you think that things like social media, things like maybe the cynical climate right now these days, and the excess of everything, is that lending itself to more overthinking than usual?
Most definitely. I feel like as humans, we're like almost evolutionarily like not meant to be able to withstand this much crap. Like we have so many different timelines that we're shuffling through. Our life, our actual real life, the way that we our relationships with the world, and as we grow older, we see other people growing with us, or the most popular thing on your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, and what other people are doing all the time. And that's amazing in a lot of ways, because it enlightens everyone to like the realities of life. I think people for the first time are, when people looked at the Vietnam War, it was like the first time that America had really seen that type of war in film, and now we just see that on a daily basis, and you scroll through your Facebook feed and you're seeing desensitized to a lot of stuff. And I think that is the very common response, is that desensitization.
Well, and the scariest part, and I don't know if you guys feel this way with your own social media, but sometimes I'm like, I don't even care what's on this feed, I'm just checking it out of habit. It's like muscle memory almost, which is the scariest part.
It's definitely an issue. I think we're all guilty of that, of just like that muscle memory of just like scrolling and that stimulus to want to see something new. And you got to catch yourself at times and take breaks from, whether it's taking breaks from technology or going on a hike and appreciating nature. I think I always feel, and we live in the city in Los Angeles, just going out to the beach or going out to like Central Coast, Joshua Tree, whatever, just getting out and exploring what California and America has to offer, national parks and all that. It's very calming and kind of gives you a whole refreshed perspective on things.
Yeah, the beach, nature, those are such great things to sort of ground us and recenter ourselves. Musically, though, I understand David Bowie is an artist that if you guys are kind of lost or feel a bit complicated sonically, that's an artist that you guys can all go to as a group and sort of recenter yourselves.
Totally. I think there are a few artists like that. David Bowie was like, we actually saw Radiohead last night at MSG. For us, that was a band that has been able to evolve themselves and kind of always be the master of their own reflection and really choose what they want to put out into the world, and not like be boxed into a certain type of genre or sound. And that's very liberating for us. And we also feel very thankful that this is our 4th record now, and our fans really just want to see us do different things, and it's exciting.
Definitely. On the topic of overthinking, I find just personally, I overthink a lot when I'm afraid of making a mistake, when I have a big decision to make, or just the fear of failure, I guess. And I thought of you guys as this band that just burst onto the scene, had such a hot start. You know, and you've just alluded, this is your 4th studio album coming up, which is so amazing. But when you have songs like My Body and songs like Cough Syrup just become these smash hits right out of the gate, it's almost like the world is telling you who you are before you're done saying hello, in a way.
Oh, most definitely.
And so I'm wondering, following that, and you've managed to do it, but have there been times of anxiety and fear of failure and fear of making the wrong decision based off of the public's expectations of you?
Yes.
The second album for us was difficult in ways. We kind of shacked up into a house together after 3 or so years of touring off the first album, and we were kind of looking at each other and just thinking, like, what do we write about? You know, what we just were on the world we knew for the last 3 years was being in a touring band, and you know, what are we going to write about? And it essentially took us months before we wrote the first song for Mind Over Matter, and the theme of that record was about that difficulty we had struggling with our identity, and as a band, as people, for me, as you know, as individual, and also you know, expectation just brought on a lot by ourselves, you know, and it all boils down to fear. You know, it's like that really at the end of the day is a very controlling emotion, and it's really exists because of our own minds. Let it
I
exist.
think being vulnerable is one of the most human things you could do, and it's very rewarding. And we, all of us, need to learn how to put our guard down sometimes, and you know, fail and be vulnerable, because you just learn from those experiences and become that much stronger. You know, there's like a saying in like Silicon Valley where like no one takes you seriously unless you've like, you know, failed at 4 different startups or whatever, however many number, and it's true. Like it's a very true thing. So. Yeah.
Is Young the Giant a fearless band today?
I wouldn't say that. You know, we obviously still have identity issues, but I think that amorphous identity thing is our identity now, and I think for the first time, we're really embracing that and really embracing the dynamics that we have as a band, and sonically where we can go with it. And so, you know, I wouldn't say we're fearless, but we take we have a lot of faith in each other, and what we do when we're on stage is we consider it a completely different thing, you know, than who we are when we're just kind of like walking around the street. But on a daily personal basis, obviously there are a lot of fears and doubts. I think that a lot of, you know, that I could share with many of our fans, you know, just because, you know, we're in a, you know, a touring band, famous touring band, you know, doesn't make it any different. You know, we still have those fears, but we do have each other, which has been amazing.
Right, and you have the music that you can pour it into,
Yeah.
which is always a beautiful thing. Speaking of touring, and you guys are one of the best touring bands out there right now, you got a fall tour coming up, and you're going to be, if you're watching this right now, we're taping this in New York City. You're doing 2 dates in November at Brooklyn Steel. That's still sort of a new venue. Have you guys played Brooklyn Steel yet?
No, we haven't played it yet.
How do you enter a gig like that if you've never played the venue? Because so much of it probably is familiarity and comfort. And do you give any thought to that?
I think we feel very comfortable, you know, knowing we have some really amazing crew guys that have been with us for quite a while now, and so I love touring, and I love playing multiple nights in one venue. You can kind of settle into the city that you're in, and also your crew basically doesn't have to tear down all the, you know, gear and the lighting essentially, and so you can go out and get drunk with your pals, you know, and they can kind of just leave right after the show and hang. So it's kind of good morally for the band, for the crew to have multiple dates in one city. But with the Brooklyn Steel show, I think we're just really excited, and we're very confident in what our crew does, and also in what we do live. So we go into a show like really excited, and kind of get a lay of the city in the morning, and try to eat some good food. And
It's a good city to do that in.
yeah, definitely.
Do you have any favorite spots in New York? Loaded question.
So many.
Yeah.
I
A lot of
know.
time.
You're gonna go there.
Can't keep up. You ask me about
No.
like any other city, I'd be like, oh yeah, these are my go-tos.
Yeah.
But I feel like New York, I always try to. I think all of us try to go to new
Try
spots
someplace
when,
new.
when we
Yeah.
can.
Did I
yeah.
see you guys are taking lights out on the road?
Yes, we are.
That's awesome. You guys friends with her? She just came by another show I do, and she had like a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we saw that.
That's crazy. You guys big comic book
We've
fans at all?
never.
We've never met her yet.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
We're looking forward to that.
That's
tour. It should be
exciting.
fun.
And tickets for tour, are they available now?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I'm guessing
They
Yes,
are.
they are.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're
We're getting
getting
some nods from management right
confirmation.
now. Well, tickets, of course, are available online or probably wherever tickets are sold these days. And if your social media is probably a great place for them to check that out.
Yes. And although we're not allowed to say anything, there is something coming soon as well in terms of
Would that
music,
something
so
be an album?
It could or
potentially.
couldn't be.
Could or
Yes.
couldn't be?
Potentially.
Could it be an album?
It couldn't. It could. I don't know. Maybe.
If it was an album, would it be here before the end of the year?
Twice if it's an album.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yes.
All right. Well, that's exciting, guys. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.